श्री श्री सीता राम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय। श्री श्री राधा राधानाथ की जय। श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Hare Krishna and welcome to our Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ram Navami program. We will begin with bhajan. Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Radhanat Radha Radhanat Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Madhav ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki Jai, Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So before we begin, I humbly beg your blessing so that I may be able to say something that is pleasing to the heart. Dear devotees, we are reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 19, Text 4. Yattati vishuddha bhanubhavas matram ekam swatejasvadvasta guna vyasatam pratyak prashantam sudhiya yapolan sudhiya phalam bhanam he anama rupam nirham prapadyate. Translation: the Lord, whose pure form, Satchid Ananda Vigraha, is uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, can be perceived by pure consciousness. In the Vedanta, he is described as being one without a second. Because of his spiritual potency, he is untouched by the contamination of material nature. And because he is not subjected to material nature, he is known as transcendental. He has no material activities, nor has he a material form or name. Only in pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness, can one perceive the transcendental form of the Lord. Let us be firmly fixed at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra, and let us offer our respectful obeisances unto those transcendental lotus feet. And the purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appears in various expansions as stated in the Brahma Samhita. Ramadi Muratishu Kale Niyamena Tistan Nanavataram Akrodha Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Sambhava Paramapumanyo Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Rama, Nrsimha, and many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also. Krishna is Vishnu Tattva, Krishna, who is Vishnu Tattva, has explained himself in many Vishnu forms, of which Lord Ramachandra is one. We know that the Vishnu Tattva is carried by the transcendental bird Garuda, who is equipped with different types of weapons in 4 hands. Therefore, we may doubt whether Lord Ramachandra could be in the same category, since he is carried by Hanuman, not by Garuda, and had neither 4 hands nor the Sankha, Chakra, Gada, and Padma. Consequently, This verse clarifies that Ramachandra is as good as Krishna. Ramadi Murtishu Kale. Although Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ramachandra is not different from him. Ramachandra is unaffected by the modes of material nature, and therefore he is prasanta, never undisturbed by those modes. Unless one is saturated with love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot appreciate the transcendental value of Lord Ramachandra. One cannot see him with material eyes. Because demons like Ravana, who have no spiritual vision, they consider Lord Ramachandra as an ordinary Kshatriya king. Ravana therefore attempted to kidnap Lord Ramachandra's eternal consort, Sita Devi. Actually, however, Ravana could not carry off Sita Devi in her original form. As soon as she was touched by Ravana's hands, she gave him a material form, but she maintained her original form beyond his vision. Therefore, in this verse, the words Pratyak Prasantam indicate that Lord Ramachandra and his potency, the goddess Sita, keep themselves aloof from the influence of material energy. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmenitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tatati Svapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priya. Pancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, once again, welcome to Sri Sri Radha Radhanath's Ramayan week. Now, in the Sri Sampradaya, there is a version of the Ramayan called Kamba Ramayan. Now, Srila Prabhupada was very appreciative of the Sri Sampradaya, and he quoted the acharyas of the Sri Sampradaya, especially Ramanuja Acharya, in many of his purports. Now, this Kamba Ramayan is written by Kamba Acharya, and there Kamba Acharya, he actually quotes that the Ramayan is like an ocean of milk, and I am a cat. Now, in an entire ocean, how much can a cat drink? And, dear devotees, we are like ants. How much can an ant drink? One drop is enough to drown an ant. So, the Ramayan has many, many layers. It is very deep, and we need to dive deep into the Ramayan to understand and to appreciate the message of the Ramayan. Now, on the surface, there is the pastime of Lord Ramachandra, the perfect son, the perfect husband, perfect brother, etc., etc. But when you dive deep into the Ramayan, like in the ocean, on the surface you will not find any jewels. But if you dive deep into the ocean floor, you will get all the jewels. So in the same way, you dive deep into the Ramayan and you will experience the true jewels of the Ramayana, and that is the message of Godhead. So, we see that Mother Sita was assisting Lord Ram in Ayodhya, and when they were banished, later on in Panchavati in the forest. And her desires were one with Lord Ram. Now in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, Brahma Bhuta Pasan Atma na sochati na kankshati. Brahma Bhuta is the platform. On the platform where your desires, the desires of the living entity, is similar to that of the Supreme Lord, then you experience na sochati na kankshati, no lamentation, no fear. So when your desires are one with the Supreme Lord, then there is no lamentation and no fear. But Mother Sita in Panchavati desired something separate from the Lord, the golden deer. And that's when trouble starts. So similarly, in the spiritual world, the spirit soul is enjoying with the Supreme Lord. His desires are one with the desires of the Supreme Lord. And as soon as the soul, the spirit soul, desires separately to enjoy himself, then immediately he comes under the subject of the conditioned mind, and he attains a material body, and he is placed within the material world. So, Ravana represents the conditioned mind, and Lanka represents the material body. Now Ravana has 10 heads. These represent the 5 working senses, Kamendriya, and the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, Jnanendriya. Now these 5 working senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses are agents of the mind. And together with the mind, they keep the spirit soul trapped within the material body. And we see that Mother Sita was suffering in separation from Lord Ram. Now in the same way, the spirit soul is suffering in separation from the Supreme Lord in this material world. And also the Lord suffers. We see that the Lord Ram was anxious to reunite with Mother Sita. Now in the same way, the Supreme Lord is anxious to reunite with the soul. And he makes plans to retrieve and reclaim the soul back home, back to Godhead. So part of his plan is to send his most confidential servant. Now, the story thus far is that Mother Sita has been taken away by Ravana. And Sugriva teams up with Lord Ram, and he sends out his monkey soldiers to search for Mother Sita. Eventually, they learn that Mother Sita is being held captive in Lanka. The monkeys now decide who is going to cross the ocean and try and find Mother Sita. And each monkey, he explains his situation, like Angad says, I can jump 10 yojanas, and then Nal and Neel say, I can jump a certain amount. But they cannot claim to go and return. And Jambavan, he is an elderly bear, and he says, in my youth, I would have been able to jump across the ocean, but now I can jump across, but I won't be able to return. So Jambavan, he then reminds Hanuman of all his different benedictions that he was given as a child. And he was later cursed, because he was so mischievous, he was later cursed by the sages that he will forget those benedictions until he needs to use them in the service of the Supreme Lord. So then Hanuman sets out in search of Mother Sita. Now Hanuman, he takes Lord Ram's name and he jumps into the air. Now Hanuman represents the Guru. Remember we said that the Lord makes various plans to reunite with the spirit soul, and one of his plans was to send his confidential servant. And Hanuman represents the Guru, and Guru's purpose is to reunite the spirit soul with the Supreme Lord. So Hanuman searches out for Mother Sita, who is now representing the spirit soul. And he encounters many obstacles on his search. Now the first one he encounters is a golden mountain called Mainaka Mountain. This is a very beautiful mountain. She has many waterfalls, she has many lakes, she has caves, and she has beautiful gardens. So this mountain approaches Hanuman and says, you have a long journey to go. You have traversed a very long path. You may be tired. Why don't you rest in my caves? Then you can refresh yourself and continue on your journey. So Hanuman, he actually thanks the mountain, and then he says, but right now I cannot see anything but my goal. So this obstacle in Hanuman's path represents temptation to seek comfort before achieving our real purpose. And much of that temptation comes from our mind. Srila Prabhupada has established a morning sadhana program where we wake up in the early hours of the morning and perform Mangal Aarti and we chant our japa. Now sometimes we will become complacent and maybe over a weekend, let's say it's a Saturday morning, it might be cold, and your mind tells you, Prabhu, you have been awake every morning, you wake up early. Today is a Saturday morning, take a rest. You've got the whole day to chant your rounds. Now, this is your mind playing tricks on you, and we should, like Hanuman, just pay obeisances and continue with our service, because like Hanuman had a goal, we also have a goal to go back home, back to Godhead. And in order to achieve this goal, we have to enthusiastically perform our sadhana, enthusiastically perform our devotional service. Now, in the Ramayana, there is a personality by the name of Mother Shabri. Now, Mother Shabri was from a tribal caste, and she was not engaged, but supposed to be married to a very abominable tribal person. And on the eve of her wedding, she actually escaped from her home and she took shelter in the ashram of Rishi Matang. And she served him for many, many years. So finally, Rishi Matang, he was leaving to go back home, back to Godhead, and he took all his disciples with him. But he gave Mother Shabri an instruction. He said to her that you wait here. Lord Ram is going to come, and you meet with him, you serve him, and then you can come back to my abode. Right? Go back to the spiritual world. So Mother Shabri enthusiastically and diligently waited patiently for Lord Ram. Every morning she would go out into the forest and break flowers and break fruit and prepare her ashram so that Lord Ram, when he appears, everything will be ready for him. And she did this for many, many years. And in the process, Mother Shabri was very enthusiastic in her service. And we see that she did not succumb to her mind. I'm sure that her mind must have been telling her that your guru has left you and you are all alone. This is a dangerous forest and who knows if Lord Ram is going to come or not. But no, Mother Shabri enthusiastically performed her devotional service, and eventually Lord Ram did appear and she served him, and then she went back home, back to Godhead. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam we also see Maharaj Parikshit. He was cursed to die within 7 days. And he took shelter of the words of Srimad Bhagavatam. He took shelter of Sukadev Goswami reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. And in this process, he wasn't thinking at the back of his mind, how did this happen? What's going to happen now? Where am I going to go from here? Where did I go wrong? Who is going to take care of my subjects? Who is going to look after my wealth? He wasn't thinking any of those things. Instead, he took complete shelter in the words of Srimad Bhagavatam. And ultimately, he went back home, back to Godhead. So we see that these temptations will arise within the mind. But like Hanuman, we need to just offer obeisances and continue with our goal. Continue enthusiastically in devotional service. Now the second obstacle that Hanuman experienced was Simika. Now as Hanuman was flying over the ocean, he suddenly came to a situation where he couldn't move any further. He was actually being dragged down. So he looked down and then he realized that there was this Simika monster and she had gotten hold of his shadow and she was actually pulling his shadow down, and in that way she was pulling Hanuman down. Now Simika had this ability to catch anyone that is flying over the ocean by their shadow, and she pulls them down and consumes them. Right? So this Simika represents envy. Envy is a obstacle in our devotional service. The shadow represents a weak point. Now when engaged in devotional service, sometimes we may become envious of another devotee. Sometimes we are not able to compliment another's service, but rather criticize it. Like, say for instance, I'll give you an example is, let's say one devotee makes a garland, and instead of you complimenting his devotional service as a good job, rather you would say, maybe you could have used more flowers, or maybe you could have used yellow instead of red. Or these critical points are actually a symbol of envy. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So we should understand that envy is an obstacle in our devotional service, and it will eventually destroy your devotional attitude. Now we see in the Ramayana, Mantra was very envious of Lord Ram. As a little child, Lord Ram and his brothers, Bharat, Shatrughan, and Lakshman, were playing. They were shooting mud balls with their arrows. And Lord Ram had placed a mud ball, and he fired the arrow, and it fell, the mud ball fell on the hump or the hunchback of Mantra. Now Mantra was a hunchback woman. And as little children, they just giggled about it. But Mantra was not pleased. She was not pleased at all. And she remembered this incident, and it fueled her envy. It fueled her envy to such a point that when Lord Ram was going to be coronated as the king of Ayodhya, this envy she used to influence Queen Kaikeyi and ultimately have Lord Ram banished into the forest. Now we also see in the Mahabharata that Duryodhana was very envious of the Pandavas. And once, while in exile, the Pandavas were, one of the conditions they had was to remain incognito. And they were at a particular place incognito. But Duryodhana and his brothers were enjoying not far off from there, and they happened to get into a situation with the Yakshas. And the Yakshas ultimately captured Duryodhana and his brothers. And Yudhishthir, the elder of the Pandavas, heard about this, and he instructed Arjun and Bhima to go and rescue Duryodhana, rescue the Kauravas. So Bhima was not happy to do this, and he said to Yudhishthir that Duryodhana and his brothers, the Kauravas, are actually the reason we are in this situation. But you want us to now go and rescue them. You know, I don't understand. So then Yudhishthir explained, and he said, to the outside world, he said, the Kauravas are 100 brothers, and we are 5 brothers. But to the outside world, we are 105 brothers. So you need to go and rescue them. So Bhima and Arjun eventually went, and they fought with the Yakshas, and they managed to free Duryodhana and his 100 brothers. And doing all this incognito. But after a while, Duryodhana learnt, or he understood, that only Arjun and Bhima could have saved him. No one else was powerful enough to fight these Yakshas. So he said that I should have rather died at the hands of the Yakshas instead of being saved by the Pandavas. Now look at his envy. And this envy ultimately destroyed Duryodhana. So here, this shadow, or this shadow represents a weak point, but Simika represents envy. And how did Hanuman deal with this envy? Hanuman grew very tiny enough that his shadow couldn't be held by the Simika. And he went into her heart and he crushed her, teaching us that envy has no place in the devotional service of Lord Ram, and we need to crush it from our heart. We need to destroy it completely. So then Hanuman continued with his journey, and he came across another obstacle. This was in the form of a serpent demon, and her name was Surasha. Now Surasha had received a benediction from Brahma that whoever travels through that area has to enter her mouth, right? Meaning ultimately that they will be devoured by her. So she approached Hanuman and she said, "You have to enter my mouth." So Hanuman said, "I am very big and I cannot enter your mouth." And he grew 10 yojanas. Surasha immediately expanded to 10 yojanas. Then he grew 20, and she also grew 20 yojanas. And in this way, there was this competition, Hanuman growing and she growing. So Hanuman grew to 100 yojanas, and immediately Surasha also expanded to 100 yojanas. Now, Surasha represents the mentality of pride, to show off. This mentality to show off, either in devotional service or in life itself. It is not a good quality, and ultimately it will destroy you. Now, the epitome of pride in the Ramayana is Ravana himself. So many personalities had advised Ravana not to abduct Mother Sita or to return Mother Sita to Lord Ram, but he refused. First, there was Marich. Now, Marich, when Ravana came to him with this idea of kidnapping Mother Sita, immediately Marich said to him, "Whoever gave you this idea, they don't have your well-being in mind. So whoever gave you this idea, just abandon it immediately." And what did Ravana do? In turn, he threatened to kill Marich if he doesn't follow his orders. So Marich said, "Well, better I die in the hands of Lord Ram rather than Ravana," because he knew that Lord Ram was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we know that he eventually took this form of the golden deer, and Lord Ram had fired an arrow, and he eventually left his body. Now, also giving Ravana good advice was Vibhishan, the brother of Lord Ram. He was a demon, but he was a devotee. And he advised he advised Ravana that you should return Mother Sita. Lord Ram is very powerful and he will destroy you. But Ravana paid no attention to that, and instead he banished Vibhishan, and Vibhishan ultimately took shelter of Lord Ram. And then the third personality that advised, there were many more, but I'm just looking at these three as the most important, was Mandodari, the queen, the chief queen of Ravana. And she advised Ravana that please return Mother Sita, because she's come in this form to destroy you and to destroy this entire demon race. But Ravana paid no heed to what she had to say. Instead, he accused her. He said, "You are envious of the beauty of Mother Sita." But we know that Mandodari was pure in her character. Actually, Ravana was envious of the power of Lord Ram. So how did Hanuman destroy or deal with this obstacle of pride? Hanuman grew small, the size of a mosquito, and he entered her mouth, and immediately he came out again. So he said to her that I've entered your mouth, now please allow me to continue on my journey. And this Surasha was very, very impressed with Hanuman, and she blessed him to continue on his journey. So how did Hanuman deal with this obstacle of pride? With humility. As soon as you humble yourself, then you will make much more advancement in devotional service. Even in the Bible it said that the meek and the humble shall attain the kingdom of God. So another obstacle that Hanuman encountered was that of Lankini, the doorkeeper of Lanka. Now she tells Hanuman that you are a monkey and monkeys are not allowed here. And immediately Hanuman, he doesn't have time now to deal with another obstacle. He immediately slaps her. And when he slaps her, she gets so happy because she understands. She was given a boon, a benediction by Brahma, that when a monkey comes here and he slaps you, you must understand then that that is the start or the beginning of the fall of Ravana and the demonic race. So she gets so happy because then it means that she will be free from her service. Now she will no more have to guard this or be the gatekeeper of Lanka. So Lankini represents false ego. And false ego is a close associate of the mind. And together, the mind and the false ego prevents the living entity or keeps the living entity trapped in this material world. And the Guru, in the form of Hanuman, when he approaches, then the false ego in the form of Lankini tries to stop him. Now, we see that when a Guru comes with the message of the Supreme Lord, the most powerful obstacle he encounters is the false ego. Now, most of you, I'm sure, at one stage or another, would have been trying to engage devotees to attend the Ram Navami program at the temple or distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. And the first encounter you will experience is, no, I have all of this. I know all the stories. I know all the scriptures. I've read this. I've read that. So this is the elements or agents of false ego. And the only way to deal with that false ego is to slap it like Hanuman did and ignore this false ego. So eventually Hanuman finds Mother Sita and delivers the message of Lord Ram to her, and then returns to Lord Ram. And now begins the pastime of building the bridge to Lanka. Now, that is actually our topic today, building the bridge to Lanka. And this is the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, literally building a bridge so that the living entity can return home, back to Godhead. Now, we see that Lord Ram, he was the Supreme Lord. And at one stage, when he performed tapasya in front of the ocean god, he was angry enough to dry up the entire ocean and walk to Lanka. But he didn't do that. Instead, he engaged his monkey army to build this bridge. So he engaged them in devotional service. And how many monkeys, devotees, do you think were engaged in this devotional service? Now the Valmiki Ramayana gives us some indication. We know of numbers going up to 1 billion and 1 trillion. Let's see how many monkeys Lord Ram had engaged from what sage Valmiki describes. In the Vedic system, the counting is as follows. 100,000 is 1 lakh. 100 lakhs equals 1 crore. 1 lakh of crores is called a shanka. So a crore is 1 million, right? So 1 lakh of crores is called a shanka. And 1 lakh shankas is called a mahashanka. 1 lakh mahashankas is called a vrinda. 1 lakh vrindas is called a mahavrinda. 1 lakh mahavrindas is called a padma. And 1 lakh padmas is called a mahapadma. 1 lakh mahapadmas is called a karva. And 1 lakh karvas is called a mahakarva. 1 lakh mahakarvas is called a samudra. And 1 lakh samudras is an ogha. 1 lakh oghas is called a maha-ogha. And the army of monkeys in Ram's army consists of at least 100 crores maha-oghas. So can you imagine, we don't even have zeros. We don't even have the number in our counting system to explain how many monkeys there were in Lord Ram's army. And he engaged all these armies to rescue one living entity, Mother Sita. So we can see from that is that the Lord makes special arrangements, and he has made special arrangements to rescue us, the living entities, from the material world. Lord Ram comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement. And in Kali Yuga, he knows that we are all manda sumanda matiyo manda bhagyo, quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, not really able to perform vigorous spiritual activities. So he engages, or he arranges the easiest way for us to go back to the spiritual world by chanting his holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated the Sankirtan movement because he knows that in Kali Yuga we are like little children. Now if you take a 5-year-old and place him in a cricket field, you're not going to give him a real cricket ball or a cricket bat and use the entire cricket arena for him to play. No. As a 5-year-old, you'll probably give him a plastic ball, a plastic bat, and maybe a radius of about 5 meters for him to play. So we are like these 5-year-old children, playing with a plastic ball and a plastic bat. So then the Lord arranges the easiest form of service, devotional service, which is chanting the Maha Mantra. And it is said, Kali Kale Namarup Krishna Avatar. So Kali Kale, Kal is a time, and the time of Kali. So in the age of Kali, Kali Kale Namarup, the name takes form, Krishna Avatar. So the name takes form of an avatar, and that's all you need to do is chant this Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And you will attain the same benefits that people in other ages had achieved. And then we see that apart from this chanting of the Maha Mantra that he has arranged for us, what other arrangements has the Lord made? Now we see Hanuman jumped across the ocean. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did not jump the ocean, but Srila Prabhupada, he traveled across the ocean. Right? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he represents Jambavan. Jambavan, he reminded Hanuman of his benedictions. In the same way, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he instructed Srila Prabhupada, go and preach to the English-speaking world. And Srila Prabhupada traveled on the ocean. Incidentally, what was the name of the ship that Srila Prabhupada traveled on? The Jaladuta. Jal means water, and Duta is a messenger. So how coincidental is that the ship that Srila Prabhupada used was called Jaladuta, meaning the messenger that travels on water. And Srila Prabhupada, he had encountered many, many obstacles during his creation, or during his creating of ISKCON and the Hare Krishna movement. But he did not at any time default. Instead, he was very enthusiastically performing his devotional service and had full firm faith in the holy names of Krishna and Ram. He had full firm faith that Krishna is in charge, and he is going to take this mission forward. Just as Lord Ram, just as Hanuman had chanted the name of Lord Ram and he continued on his service, in the same way our Guru Srila Prabhupada continued his mission with firm faith in the names of Lord Ram and Lord Krishna. So I am going to stop here. We've got 5 minutes. Is there anybody that wants to or is anybody that would like to ask any questions, or I can continue with for another couple of minutes? Is there anybody that has any questions? No? Okay. So we look at the conditioned mind. We look at Vibhishan. Vibhishan, where was he situated? He was in Lanka. And he was chanting the names of Lord Ram. So to him, his mindset was to chant the Lord's names even in the most abominable of places, the abode of demons, and he created his very own Ayodhya. So then we look at Mantra. Mantra was very envious of Lord Ram, and situated in Ayodhya, she created the entire situation as if in Lanka. So while we are in this material world, we can be chanting the Lord's name, and being in this material world, we can create the situation of Ayodhya only with our mindset. Our mindset, complete faith in the Lord's holy name, we can create Ayodhya here in this material world, and we can go back home, back to Godhead, chanting the names of Lord Ram and Lord Krishna. So we are about to have our Gaura Arti right now, so I am going to stop and allow the devotees to set up for Gaura Arti. Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.